Struggle Jennings is the grandson of the legendary Waylon Jennings, who's considered one of the pioneers of the outlaw movement in country music. Struggle has found success in the music scene, but here's the cool part. While most rappers chase bling, watches, chains, and diamonds, Struggle invests in something more personal: classic cars. With an estimated net worth of $3 million, Struggle Jennings' garage is a treasure trove of automotive history, with each car just as significant as the other with unique stories and a high sentimental value. Join us as we take you on a ride inside Struggle Jennings' exotic classic car collection. 1967 Chevy Impala SS. Struggle Jennings' love for classic cars goes way back to his childhood. Whenever he'd catch sight of a car lot, he couldn't tear his eyes away. That passion never faded, and it led him to a particular dealership, Maple Motors, where he's picked up most of his collection. Funny enough, the first time he met his wife, she was rocking a t-shirt with Maple Motors on it. Struggle owns about 6 classic cars, but the crown jewel? That's gotta be his yellow hearse-equipped 1967 Chevy Impala SS. He wasn't even looking for it when he found it. He was just driving past Maple Motors when he saw the Impala, and it was love at first sight. Even though the car was a stick shift, something he wasn't too keen on, he knew he had to have it. In the early days of owning the car, Struggle experienced some trouble. He burned through the clutch and even considered an automatic transmission swap, but in the end, he chose to keep it as original as possible. Now, he's got the hang of it and can't stop driving it. Back in 1967, this Chevy Impala SS would have cost you just about $7,000. Today, a pristine one like Struggle's could fetch around $36,000. And while some gearheads might think yellow is a bit too flashy, Struggle agrees. He's more of a turquoise fan. But the 67 Impala isn't the only yellow car in his garage. 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air. Struggle Jennings' 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air has a story almost as rich as the man himself. Like his 1967 Chevy Impala, he bought the Bel Air from the same trusted dealership, but this time, the car wasn't ready for the road just yet. It was still being restored by its previous owner. Since it's nearly 50 years old, Struggle had to do some serious hunting to track down the parts and trim pieces needed to bring the Bel Air back to life. Much like the Impala, the Bel Air was originally manual, but Struggle swapped it out for an automatic transmission. This wasn't a car he wanted to struggle with, he just wanted to enjoy cruising in it, and it wasn't just the ride that made it special. The Bel Air had deep family ties. It was one of his grandfather Waylon Jennings' favorite cars, so Struggle spared no expense in making it perfect. The car now sports a bold yellow and black interior with a Cobra Kai theme, complete with a Bluetooth system, speakers, and the Struggle Jennings logo, though it's the only one of his classics with a Bluetooth upgrade. For all his other cars, he keeps them as close to original as possible. Each of Struggle's cars has a unique story, full of sentiment and personal meaning. This next car was also a case of love at first sight. 1984 Monte Carlo SS. Struggle Jennings' 1984 Monte Carlo SS wasn't supposed to be part of his collection, but fate had other plans. It all started when his wife asked him to find a dark cherry 1986 Monte Carlo SS, the same model her dad used to own, and the year she was born. Struggle reached out to his go-to guys at Maple Motors to help track one down. Soon enough, they called him in to check out a Monte Carlo they found. The moment Struggle got inside the car, took a whiff of that vintage interior, and soaked in the nostalgia, he was hooked. But just as he was ready to take it home, he found out it wasn't the 1986 model his wife had her heart set on. It was a 1984. Even though he knew she still wanted the 86, Struggle couldn't leave this one behind. He told the dealership to keep searching, but he drove the 1984 Monte Carlo home that day. It didn't take long for Struggle to fall completely in love with the car. Each time he drove it, he was hit with waves of nostalgia, taking him back to his childhood. In fact, he drove the Monte Carlo so much, daily back and forth to the studio, that it ended up inspiring an entire album which he fittingly named after the car. What makes this Monte Carlo special isn't just its sentimental value, it's the details, the craftsmanship that modern cars just don't have anymore. Despite being decades old, the Monte Carlo still turns heads wherever it goes. Struggle has had a guy in a Porsche Carrera stop him at a gas station just to talk about how amazing the car is. Every car in Struggle Jennings' garage is a head-turner. This next one is no different. 1996 Chevy Impala SS. Struggle Jennings' love for the Chevy Impala runs so deep that he owns not one, but 2 of them. In fact, it's a family affair. He and his wife are both diehard Chevy fans.
This is my wife's car. We're Chevy guys and girls, period. She's got a 69 Chevelle that's in the shop right now, but
that's what she was telling me, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice. We had talked about getting one of these forever, and I asked Jeff, and he was like, man, I've got one in my personal that I just, I don't know if I want to sell it though. And I ended up talking him out of it, and he told me everything that was wrong with it, took it right to the shop.
Struggle owns a 1996 Chevy Impala, while his wife rolls in her own, along with the 1969 Chevy Chevelle. Struggle's 96 Impala came from a personal collection of a seller who wasn't too keen on parting with it. Unlike his usual purchases, this one needed some work. After replacing the suspension and fixing a few things in the motor, the car was back in action. When new, the 96 Impala sold for another $25,000, but 2 decades later, its value has climbed. Used models now fetch over $40,000. For Struggle, it's not just about owning classic cars for the fun of it, though that's certainly part of the appeal. He views these cars as a smart investment, preferring to put his money into something tangible that he can drive and enjoy rather than letting it sit in a bank. He admits he's bought most of his cars right after wrapping up a tour, when he has cash to spare. While many of his peers invest in watches and jewelry, Struggle sees classic cars as his version of wealth building. Cars like the 96 Impala are making a comeback, with values rising steadily. Even though market fluctuations can cause prices to dip occasionally, these classic cars tend to hold their value much better than brand new vehicles. Take his old Chevy C10 for example. Struggle bought it for just $12,000, and at one point it could have sold for $45,000. But instead of cashing in, he passed it down to his son, who, in true gearhead fashion, ended up blowing the motor. 1970 El Camino SS. Struggle Jennings' connection to classic cars runs deep. So deep, in fact, that he was literally conceived in the back of one. His parents met at the West Nashville skate rink, and Struggle was made in the back of an El Camino. That story stuck with him because today he owns a 1970 El Camino SS and loves it so much that he named his album, which was released in May, after the car. Originally, Struggle bought the El Camino just for a photo shoot, but as soon as he drove it off the lot, he knew he had to keep it. The car, with its ties to his roots, became more than just a prop. It became a symbol of where he came from. Struggle didn't want to be like other rappers who feature cars they don't own on their album covers or in their music videos. To him, authenticity is key. Even though the El Camino needed some work, he fixed it up and made the decision to give it away to one lucky fan. Why give away a car he clearly loves? Struggle realized he had more than enough cars, and with his packed tour schedule, he hardly had the time to enjoy them all. Instead of letting the El Camino sit in his driveway, he wanted to put it in the hands of someone who would actually drive it and make it part of their life. Unlike many rappers who gravitate towards Lamborghinis or Rolls Royces, Struggle has always preferred old school cars. For him, they're not just vehicles, they're pieces of history, reminders of where he came from, and a way to stay grounded amidst the fame.